what is our regularly scheduled meeting of the Jenks Aquarium Authority. Today is
I think we have another one that's here.
Greg isn't going to be here.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Today is Tuesday, February 21st of 2023. The time is 5 p.m. My name is Corey Bucks. I'll be the chair for tonight's meeting of the Jenks Aquarium Authority, and we can get underway with a call to order. Mr. Macy.
Bonds, Montgomery,
Here.
Caitlin,
Here.
Murray, OJ,
Here.
Rowe, Chairbox.
Here. Okay, item number 1 under official business is the consideration and appropriate action relating to tonight's consent agenda. Would anyone like to move to approve our agenda, or do we need to discuss it?
Second.
Thank you. We have a proper motion, a second on item 1. Let's vote, please.
Montgomery,
Yes.
Caitlin, OJ,
Yes.
Chairbox.
Yes. Item 2 we will pull. We move on to item 3 is potential executive session for purposes of conferring on matters pertaining to economic development, including the transfer of property or the creation of a proposal to entice a business to locate within the city of Jenks, where public disclosure of the matter discussed would interfere with the development of products or services or would violate the confidentiality of the business. We're talking about the Riverfront Tourist Commercial District tonight at the Aquarium Campus, and we would need a motion to enter executive session if someone would like to make one.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Lynn. We have a motion and a second on item 3. Let's vote, please.
Montgomery,
Yes.
Caitlin, OJ,
Yes.
Chairbox.
Yes, thank you. We will return shortly. election at 5:37 PM. No votes were cast. We are moving on to our staff report. Mr. Alexopoulos, good evening, sir. Wait a minute, what do I do with those? Yep. It's
On
on.
the top.
You got it.
It's on? It's on? Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, press by the red line, it'll turn green. Oh, this is different.
Wait a minute, the marine biologist just gave the electronics to the attorney to see if she can figure out how to get it to work.
We don't use electronics.
This is not
Electronics and
making any
saltwater
sense. You
don't
were a
mix.
scientist, so we thought.
All right.
All right, Brandon will handle it.
Thank you very much, and you have any questions? 'Cause- All right, thank you. All right, I'm just stalling. Thank you, Mayor. We're off to a really good start for the quarter. The aquarium, our revenue and attendance is really impressive. Our revenue is somewhere around 20% higher than last year. And last year, I believe, was our best year, or second best, one of the two. So we're really killing it right now. Our attendance for the month is up around 27%. So we're having a really good year, a lot of great reviews. Our carousel has made over 57,000 since October. So we're really happy with that. Yeah, it's been a hit. Thank you. Thank you very much. And it's on a lot of people's pictures that they're posting, and it's.
I think it's driving attendance too.
I really think so. One of the things we had to we took the doors off on the inside of the entrance to kind of give a more open feel, and so the problem is, since the carousel, as soon as the kids enter the aquarium, they start running away from their parents to the carousel. And so we had to put the doors, we're having to put the doors back on because of that, which before people would walk in and they were kind of confused on if they're in the right place. So I think we're off to a good start with that. The doors, the 3 doors that are, that we're putting in that go out from the Great Hall to the deck, is under construction right now. One of the doors is already complete, and the ADA door opener has been installed for the side door, and those doors will be completed by Splash. So that's kind of like the finishing touches of that room, and so it's all really came together well, and people are spending a lot more time in that room. The tables that we have out there are always full, so we might even be buying more tables. Food sales are up, so we're on the right track right there. As far as our events, Symphony by the Sea, we had over 2,000 students attend, and so that was a big hit. This was our first live symphony in a while because of COVID, but it went really well. Splash, don't forget, it's on the 25th, and we're close to being sold out, so if you haven't gotten your tickets, you may want to do so online, or come by the aquarium, either way. Our annual run's on April 1st. We've already sold, we've already had 370 entries, which is pretty awesome. We only had about 135 this time last year, so we're doing really well with the run. And then April 8th is our aquarium Easter egg hunt. And we are doing basically first come, first serve this time. And we will hold some of the eggs back for kids who didn't get to find any. But last year was a big hit, and there was quite a mad rush for eggs, as you can imagine. And so we are definitely having that again this year. As far as our projects, our jellyfish exhibit is complete. And today is the first day towards the end of the day, we opened it up to the public, and not to touch yet, but to look at it. And it's beautiful. Exactly what we were hoping. And the jellyfish have been in there now for several weeks, and they're doing really well. We're probably going to do a soft opening for touching. Sorry about that. Tomorrow, and we'll just kind of have it open for a little while and closed, and we'll just kind of ease it in and just watch how the animals do. And then we will have it open for splash, barring anything unforeseen. So that's been a real hit. Pollinator garden we're working on still. We've decided to move its location from the back to the front of the aquarium. When you're standing in the front of the aquarium and you're looking at the main entrance, it's on the right, so the south side, that grassy area. We're working with an architect right now, and we will have some designs, and we're going to keep the cost of the whole project to be within what our donors have gifted us. So that's our goal, and it'll be a really nice addition to the entrance. And it'll give people something to do when they're waiting in line or that type of thing. And so I think it's going to be a really neat deal, and we'll get a lot more points for our Sustainable Tulsa, which is really important. We'll be a monarch butterfly way station, so we're going to have a lot of milkweed and that type of thing. So it's good for our environment. And when we were talking with ODWC, and they were doing questionnaires, random questionnaires with people and with the public, and they were asking, what would you like to see more of as far as conservation is concerned? And the number one answer was more pollinator gardens. So that's actually pretty surprising to myself. Parking lot is complete except for they still have to seal the parking lot and restripe. Right now it's temporary striping. They got to seal it and restripe, but they have to have like at least a week of temperatures consistently above, I think, 55 degrees. That means even the lows have to be above 55 degrees. So once we get into that, that's when they're going to seal it and stripe it.
Kenny, are they doing all of the park, sealing all the parking lots?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I believe so. But it looks great, and it's being used. And then the shark quarantine, we've had some kind of initial quotes from a few contractors, and they kind of range. Right now, we are working on doing some, doing some analyzing to see how we can bring costs down. It's quite high, so that's kind of what we're working on right now, and I'll have more information for you at a later date.
Yeah, the corporate buzzword is value engineering.
Absolutely. And we'll have to maybe be even more creative than that. We don't need that many sharks, do we? So no, but we're moving on it. Sip and See was great. Lieutenant Governor was present. We're already discussing planning for next Sip and See. STEM nights, which are on Tuesday nights, are doing very well, and so we're adding a second one for guests. Let's see. And we've received more money for Fish Friends, $15,000 from QT and $10,000 from GKFF. And then finally, we are close to being complete with the iron skin testing. I don't know if y'all are familiar with what we've been doing for several months now. Iron Skin is a company out of New Zealand who's developing kind of like a next generation shark suit. Currently, shark suits are chainmail, like what we use, which are very cumbersome, weigh about 30 or 40 pounds, and really are not practical for most divers. And they're developing a fully articulated suit that looks like a wetsuit, super lightweight, all composite material. And but they need our help because we have bull sharks. They've tested it on other large shark species, but so we've been testing it with sleeves. It's been ongoing. They've been sending people from New Zealand and whatnot, and it's pretty impressive. We're getting all kinds of great data, never before collected data. Truly, some really extensive bite pressure testing with our sharks, as well as pull strengths and all kinds of other things. A lot of equipment and instruments in that. One of our sharks got so excited it almost swallowed the entire sleeve, instruments, rope, everything. And just by the grace of God, he spit it out because we were really worried, so we had to make some adjustments. So that was amazing. That the team from Iron Skin said that the bull sharks were actually much more impressive than the great whites. They were way more excited than we were, so it was pretty neat. And they're supplying us with an entire array of shark suits right now, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of shark suits, and they're also custom making our bib overalls that we use. Big difference because I used to dive with the sharks a lot, and that chainmail is brutally uncomfortable, and so to have something like this on would be great. And then, it's going to save lives because swimmers will use them, surfers will be able to use them, and that kind of thing. So it's really neat stuff.
I can't wait.
What's that?
I can't wait.
Oh yeah, we got to get you in.
That's
the
what
tank.
you've been waiting on, right?
Yeah. Well, see, we don't want to get you in there until you look streamlined and everything. You don't want to be in those chainmail.
You tell me I need to lose weight?
No, you're good.
Okay.
These stretch, so we're good. And that is basically it. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Mr.
You
Alexopoulos.
bet.
Any questions? Anyone? No?
Thank you, man.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate it. If there's nothing else, the time is 5:50, and we are adjourned. Thank you very much. Must have something cool on the agenda. And we're going to call to order tonight's regularly scheduled meeting of the Jenks City Council. Today is Tuesday, February 21st of 2023. The time is 6 p.m. My name is Corey Box. I will be your chair for the evening. And to my left is Mr. Macy, and he will verify our attendance so we can get underway. Mr. Macy.
Short.
Here.
OJ.
Here.
Caitlin.
Here.
Isbell. Here. Murray. Klein. Present. Mayor Box.
Here. Thank you, sir. Just Murray. All right. For tonight's invocation, we welcome back Pastor Ellie Berry, Life Church. Good evening, ma'am. How are you? Happy New Year to you.
Father God, we come before you so thankful for this opportunity to gather, and I just pray that you would give wisdom to those making decisions tonight, peace, strength, your blessing over our city, and your continued favor, and we're just thankful for all that we get to be a part of. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Pastor, all your youth that are old enough, March 7th, get them out to vote.
Yes, sir.
Thumbs down.
Okay.
Gotcha. Thank you. Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor. All right, we're going to welcome to front and center Mr. Fred Reed for tonight's Animal Welfare Spotlight. Chances are, the probability is somebody in the front row is probably going to be adopting a dog tonight. I got a bunch of softies in the front row.
Tonight we have Chase. Chase is about a 10-week-old shepherd husky mix that obviously is very friendly and has a lot of energy. Okay. He likes to play with other dogs if they can tolerate his puppy teeth. He likes toys. He's learning to walk on a leash pretty well. And but he's a smart little guy that would make anybody a great little companion. Probably for an active family that does a lot of hiking and running and outdoor activities.
He's bored of his politics already.
And so he is available for adoption, and if anybody would like to meet him or any of his adoptable friends, they can call us at 918-299-6311 or email at animalcontrol@jenksok.org.
Let him take a good look in the camera so our worldwide audience can see who's available for adoption. So the six
does.
people watching us
He's got a
live
blue
on
eye and a
YouTube.
brown eye.
Yeah, he does. I didn't want to say anything, but I'm glad you did because he looks like he has special powers or something. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Reed.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
No, come on.
All right, very well. We're moving on to citizens' comments or public comments. If you are a member of our community and you would like to address the council as a whole tonight on any topic that is not going to be discussed on our agenda, you are welcome to come forward. You might possibly face humiliation or jokes, but nevertheless, you are welcome to come forward. I'm kidding. I know all of you, no strangers in the audience, so we will go ahead and close the floor to public comment. Thank you all very much. We're going to get underway with item number 1, which is our consent agenda. Would anyone on the council like to move to approve item number 1, tonight's consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Lynn. We have a proper motion and a second to approve item number 1. Let's vote, please.
Short.
Yes.
OJ.
Yes.
Caitlin.
Yes.
Isbell.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes, sir. Item number 2, we will pull. Moving on to item number 3 is an offer to purchase the agreement with Oklahoma Department of Transportation for 10.02 acres located generally at the northwest corner of 121st Street and Highway 75, and authorize our city attorney to give notice to terminating the lease agreement. We are on page 110 if you're following along, and we're going to welcome our city attorney, Mrs. Nowlin, to the podium. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Recall last May, council approved a lease on this land. It is approximately 10 acres. It is west of Highway 75 at about 121st Street on the north side. This is property that is owned by ODOT that they purchased as part of their access road improvement. And it is necessary if a large commercial development is going to go in that area, it's important to control that part and will be necessary to any development that goes there. Our lease will terminate in May, and under that lease, we are able to purchase the property for the appraised value. We had it appraised in early last year, and the value was $1.26 million. And we have paid $75,600 in lease payments, and so that amount gets deducted from the fair market value, and so we could purchase it at $884,400.
184,000, not 884, right?
Right.
Okay.
100,000. And upon signing this agreement, we have to terminate our lease agreement with the 30-day notice, and so we would do that at the same time.
And our
Very-
lease payments go towards the purchase.
Yes.
And, okay.
All right. Anything else, Mrs. Nolan?
The plan is that the city would be reimbursed for this purchase price whenever development moves forward on this parcel from the developer.
Okay. And we are highly optimistic about that happening, so. Great. Any questions for Mrs. Nowlin from the council? Okay, any other thoughts, Mr. Shrout? Is that
No,
it?
sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mrs. Nowlin, appreciate it. If there are no other questions, no debate amongst council, we can, somebody can make a motion to approve item 3.
I'll make the motion to approve item 3 on the agenda.
Second. Thank you very much. We have a proper motion and a second on item 3. Let's vote, please.
Short.
Yes.
OJ.
Yes.
Kalen.
Yes.
Isabel. Yes. Klein. Yes. Mayor Box.
Yes, sir. Item number 4 is resolution number 792, a resolution amending the annual appropriations by $1,184,400 in account number 618015250 for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023, to fund the purchase of property that we just spoke about, 10.02 acres of the right-of-way from the Oklahoma Department of Transportation. Mr. Sauceda, Mr. Shrout.
Mayor, members of council, this is our standard resolution amending the appropriations for the year, as stated by Ms. Nowlin and in the finance director's memo. We can either claim reimbursement through the TIF, but our plan is to sell the property when there is development on the site immediately west.
Thank you, Mr. Shrout. Any questions from council for Mr. Shrout? Very well. If there are no questions, then we will entertain a motion, please.
Motion to approve item number 4.
Second.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We have a proper motion and second to item 4. Let's vote, please.
Short.
Yes.
OJ.
Yes.
Kalen.
Yes.
Isabel. Yes. Klein.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes. All right, moving on to other business. Mr. Shrout, your city manager's report.
Mayor and all members of council, the public works crews were busy this weekend. We had numerous water breaks with the weather going cold and warm and cold and warm. We had one at 418 East 111th Street. That call came in at 12:30 a.m. and the crews worked all night to replace the saddle on the main line that was broken. The repair was completed by 8 a.m. And then in Gregory Circle on Monday, crews responded to a break at 10:45 a.m. and had the line repaired by 1:30 p.m. A contractor had bored through the 6-inch main line, and our crew had to replace 11 feet of pipe. So they had a busy weekend, and obviously working on call in the middle through the night when it's cold out is not fun, but that's kind of a reminder of what our public works department, that they're essentially a first responder as well. The Aquarium Place water line abandonment, we have a 2-inch line under the street that we are trying to move all of those residents and businesses away from. So crews will be digging up areas along Aquarium Place and some of the side streets to connect the residents to the new 6-inch water line. The street will be closed 1 block at a time, and each block will be completed before moving on to the next block, and crews are notifying the homeowners that will be out of water before they turn off the water and complete the tie-in. The TIF districts, the Planning Commission will hear the TIF Committee's recommendation for TIF 1 and 2 and the new TIF at their meeting on Thursday. If approved by the Planning Commission, the City Council will review the TIF changes at the March 7th meeting, and we plan to schedule TIF committee meetings to review TIF 4 in March. Cities United, the area city managers and some mayors meet every month, and last week we met, and the topic of conversation was largely about Tulsa County notifying the city of Bixby and the city of Broken Arrow that they would no longer maintain certain roads and bridges within those cities, because I think the county views that technically those are the city's responsibility and not the county. So that took up quite a bit of time. After that meeting, I contacted Commissioner Dunkerley, and he indicated that if there is anything in Jenks that we have to take over, it's minimal compared to what Bixby and Broken Arrow have, but I'm waiting to see if we get some notification ourselves. Then on the soccer fields on Elwood, those are being actively marketed by Titan for sale, and we had interest from an operator who was wondering if the city will participate. So I'm continuing conversations with that person. They think that there's a lot of opportunity to increase the use of those fields by improving the turf and potentially putting some artificial turf down and adding lights. Upcoming events, the Chamber has numerous upcoming events. The Jenks Chamber Women in Business is Thursday from noon to 1 at the Hive. The Jenks Chamber Legislative Lunch is on Friday from noon to 1 at the Hive. The OAF has Splash at the Aquarium Saturday the 25th, beginning at 6. And that same night, the Jenks Public Schools Foundation Dinner and Auction is at 6 p.m. at River Spirit Casino. We have the City of Jenks Open House on Monday, February 27th, from 6 to 7:30, and then the Tulsa Chamber Day at the Capitol is Monday, March 6th to Tuesday, March 7th. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stroud. Any questions for City Manager? Mrs. Lynn, Councilor Lynn.
I was just wondering where we are with the mail-outs for notification that I requested.
Well, I don't know that we're going to mail something out to the entire city, so
Well, I didn't mean that. I meant just for the ones in Sanco that have no computers.
I'd have to talk to Katie about that.
Hey, by the way, one of the things that was discussed is the, I don't know if he's here, the police department has a, the mobile signage with that you can control the messaging. We're going to talk about putting that out. We may need to figure, you may need to give some input on where the best places to put that in Sanco that people would drive, the most
Okay.
common intersections for people to drive
Sure.
by. The problem we're having with the mailers is the same thing we had last time. We have a lot of people, the mail goes to the owner. The owner lives in California or somewhere else, or we have incorrect addressing. So that problem hasn't really been fixed, and it's not really a problem we can fix if
Sure.
people don't own the home anymore. You know what I'm talking about? The police apparatus that,
Yeah, in Public Works.
has that been brought to your attention?
Putting the mobile sign, the digital sign.
Basically says open house, 227, 6 p.m. Hive, something like that. Is-
Yeah.
I need somebody going to nod or?
Yes.
Everybody- Okay. Oh,
PD has.
I think the police department does, yeah. And
Chief Jackson actually was the one that recommended.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The chief recommended that. So I think, once you call chief, if you get a moment,
Okay.
tell him where the best place to put it would be. Wherever the most drive-bys would be, I think would be a good
That's a
start.
good idea.
Yeah.
Because I think 65% of the homes, the last time that INCOG provided us information, they may not be owner occupied, so the letters were going all over, not in Jenks essentially.
Yeah. Good
We were
question.
having a discussion in committee on communications about that, and legally, can we mail something to only certain addresses, or does the city have to mail it to all citizens?
I mean, I just think that if we're going to mail something for an event that's for everyone, but only to a specific group, that's problematic. Unless we're talking about a specific study like we had with the stormwater, where we sent it to certain residents that were in the study area. So I think that's a good point, Counselor.
Yeah, we don't want to get stuck hearing from the folks in Silver Creek. We didn't mail them announcements. Right, Bill? Slate Creek. Something Creek, yeah.
Okay, yeah, just let me know, and I'll do the best I can as far as we get a central drop,
Yeah.
or how you want to do that.
Excellent. Anything else, Mr. Shrout? Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Any committee reports? Anyone? Mr. Isbell?
INCOG meeting last Tuesday, the 14th, if I may take a
Yes.
moment. We had a meeting last Tuesday, February 14th at 1:30, and I'll try to be brief. There was a legislative report. There are 3,000 legislative bills filed as of 3/2/23, and INCOG opposes House Bill 1378, introduced prohibits state and local government entities from entering into a non-disclosure agreement with any company that is seeking or receiving tax incentives. INCOG also opposes House Bill 1379. The proposed committee substitute for required voters' approval to create a tax increment financing district. Current law only requires a majority vote of the governing body to approve a TIF district. There were also some discussions regarding item 2230 for the Precious Metal Act, changes in that with respect to paying by mail, by check, with a driver's license for people turning in precious metals. Also, item number 2108, some amendments to the Open Meeting Act. If you want to look any further, go to oklegislature.gov, and all the bills are listed there. The new Transportation Director for INCOG, Thomas Dow, spoke. He talked about the Transportation Improvement Program, and there were 6 projects, more specifically to Tulsa, Wagner, and statewide. With respect to Tulsa, there's some financing for Tulsa Bike Share, the ADA and sidewalk project construction, as well as the ADA and sidewalk project professional engineering, and Wagner Highway resurfacing, State Highway 51, and in Tulsa, the I-244 bridge rehab over the BNSF rail crossing. More specifically to the city of Jenks, the executive committee approved payments. One thing they did is they moved the annual payment structure from March to March to the calendar year, or their fiscal year, July 1st to June 30th. And in doing so, the CENA group extended the contract until June 30th of 2023 for the Jenks Senior Citizens, Inc., and to comply with that, are going to allocate additional $293 for those 3 months to get it on the calendar basis. And they did that with multiple programs. The CDBG grants are due April 10th, 2023. And if anybody has any questions, I will try to address them with regard to INCOG.
Thank you, Mr. Isbell. Any questions for INCOG report? Very well. Thank you very much, sir. Before we continue, for those of you that don't know, we had 3 uncontested city council elections, and 2 of these fine folks are sitting right here. So congratulations to Vice Mayor OJ and Councilor Isbell for coming back 4 more years. Yeah. All right, moving on to Mayor's report. I just want to emphasize the open house that we're talking about on February 27th. Just to give you an idea what the format is, tell your friends, tell your network of folks. This is an opportunity to get in front of your city leaders, your city planner, city attorneys, whatever, whoever's there, and just ask direct questions. Get to know your council members, ask direct questions. It's kind of a come and go type of an approach. We will have a short presentation to kind of share with you some of the ideas that we're looking at for development in and around the aquarium, and anything else that we may want to pop onto the agenda, but it's not going to be listening to us preach to you. We're going to share some exciting things, but otherwise we're going to kind of break out, and you guys will have the opportunity to visit with our staff and spend some time with them, and it's communication. It's us trying to be transparent and open. We haven't done it in a long time, so it's an opportunity for us to put our best foot forward, and we hope you guys and all your friends will come, if we can fit you in the room, hopefully. Other than that, March 7th is an election. State Question 820, the legalization of recreational marijuana is on the ballot. I would encourage all of you, don't forget, you got to go vote on March 7th. Whether you agree or disagree on State Question 820, it's a pretty big deal for the state of Oklahoma. It changes everything. So March 7th is a vote, and all of you can go vote, just like we did a couple of weeks ago on State Question 820. Thank you all very much. Nothing further on my mayor's report, so without further ado, we will adjourn the city council meeting at 6:20 p.m. Thank you. We will call to order tonight's regularly scheduled meeting of the Jenks Public Works Authority. Mr. Macy, can you please verify our attendance again?
Short.
Here.
OJ.
Here.
Kaylin.
Here.
Isbell.
Here.
Murray. Klein.
Present.
Chairbox.
Here, yes, sir. Thank you. Item number 1 is consideration and appropriate action relating to tonight's consent agenda. Would someone care to move to approve item 1?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have a proper motion and a second on item 1. Let's vote, please.
Short.
Yes.
OJ.
Yes.
Kaylin.
Yes.
Isbell.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Chairbox.
Yes, thank you. Item 2 will pull. Moving on to item 3, funding agreement with Tulsa County for the design of the Jenks Adult Activity Center, and authorize the mayor to execute the document. The total cost of the design project has been proposed to be $165,000. Tulsa County funding approved in an amount of $119,478, which is 73% of the total. The city of Jenks will contribute the other 27%, which is $45,522. The funding for the same to be paid by an existing encumbrance, purchase order number 195178, coming from account number 532525392, also known as City Facilities, Buildings, and Improvements. We are on page 98, and good to see you again, Mr. Cloyd.
Thank you, Chair, members of the authority, and staff. I'm going to start this presentation on this item with a little bit of history. Back on February 4th of 2020, City Council approved a proposal from GS Helms and Associates for in the amount of $280,000. The scope of the project, and this was related to the design for the Jenks Adult Activity Center, the scope of that project included a new building, demolition of fire station number 1, and construction of a new parking lot. Since then, we've had the opportunity to take advantage of some funds, CDBG funds, or Community Development Block Grant funds, and City of Jenks is an affluent city. We don't really have a lot of opportunities to use those funds, but they are available to our community. And one of the areas that does fall under that group that can use those funds is our senior citizens. So we found this opportunity to apply the funds that were allocated to the City of Jenks towards this project. And so in order to take advantage of those funds, we needed to redefine the scope of this project and narrow the scope down to just the design of the Jenks Adult Activity Center. And also a requirement of applying for those funds, we had to solicit the design for this to at least 3 firms. And so we basically went back out for solicitation or request for proposals to design this project. So we did that. The next item on the agenda is the award of that contract, a recommendation of the award of that contract. But staff solicited the proposals to 4 different design firms, and GS Helms and Associates LLC was the only firm to respond out of the 4, and he provided a proposal in the amount of $165,000. The amount of funding that we're able to get from the CDBG program is $119,478 out of that $165,000. So the remainder of that $165,000 would come from the encumbrance that we already have for the $280,000. So some of that money has been spent on some design services already. I think there's $243,000 roughly that's still left on that encumbrance to use. So I think $36,300, I looked at this earlier today, has been used so far. But we have a lot of money left on that encumbrance for the $45,522. Basically, and just to kind of add a little bit more, this agreement, again, is with Tulsa County. INCOG is administering this agreement, but it's basically just to get some money from an outside source that's not coming through the city's budget, but it's some money we can apply towards this. So it would save the city some money by taking advantage of this. This is not dealing with the construction of the project, it's just dealing with the design of the project. So we still don't really have any certainty or understanding on when we would construct this project or any projects related to that. This is related to looking at how do we renovate the existing police department. So it begs the question, or people automatically think, well, okay, what are we going to do with the police department? Well, that's another project that needs to be designed and looked at, and that has to happen before we do the construction on the police department, so we got to move them out into something. And then there may be some things that happen with the fire station number 1, but that's not part of this. But that's another thing that has yet to be decided. The parking lot, the things that were in that original scope, again, they're not part of this. This is just taking advantage of some money that we can get to save the city some money. So all of those things are not a part of that. So with that, kind of boils down to staff requests approval of the funding of this funding agreement with Tulsa County for the design of the Jenks Adult Activity Center and authorize the mayor to execute the document. Are there any questions for me concerning the approval of this agreement?
Thank you, Mr. Cloyd. Any questions from council on the right? So you said the original $280,000 encumbrance, we've spent 36 of it so far?
Yes,
okay.
36,000.
Okay. Very well. Nothing at all? Motion to approve. Second. Thank you, gentlemen. We have a proper motion and a second. Yeah, if you'd like to, or we could take the big bonus and roll. Sure. Thank you, Mr. Clay. Who's first? Anybody from the public? Mrs. Montgomery. Good evening.
Good evening. Charlotte Montgomery, 10612 South Fort Avenue. The question I had is, thank you, you answered almost every one of my questions, is that in the contract that was attached, it did have in that contract bidding, permitting, and construction administration. And so if it's only design, why is that in there? And that's my only comment.
Mr. Cloyd, absolutely.
The design includes, and typically it does this with an engineering firm. When we say design services, that's kind of a broad term. In this case, it includes designing, any kind of bidding documents that need to be provided for when we issue it out to bid, and then any kind of construction administrative services. So all of those things are included with the scope of this, which is on the next agenda item. So in some places it says design services, but it does include everything that's within the scope that GS Helms and Associates is proposing for $165,000.
And you'll go into more detail on that on item number 4?
Yes, sir, I can do that.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment as it relates to item number 3? Mr. Rogers, good evening, sir.
Really, Bill Rogers, 705 East, 119th Street South, and treasurer of Jenks Senior Citizens. And total support from the Jenks Senior Citizens on this. The only thing we're hoping is sooner than later. The one thing we have learned through the COVID period is we are vital to the individuals in this city of Jenks' health. We lost so many individuals over when we were closed down, or their health deteriorated so much that it was just, I mean, it was over 100 members indirectly that were affected by the COVID. The good news is now we're averaging 3 and 4 people per week coming in to senior citizens as the health returns and the activity returns. And the issue for us more than anything is we are so limited in what we can actually offer. We should be able to offer what Broken Arrow offers, the multi activities and that you can have for the different seniors. And because we have one room, which is a extremely loud room when you have all the people with hearing aids or no hearing aids, and try to talk over each other with no acoustical information, it makes large activities extremely tough. And so, but we are working around that as we've always done that. But getting forward on this, hopefully quicker than later, will be huge. So thanks to the council for doing this and still pursuing after everything.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Anyone else? Very well. Appreciate you guys being well represented. Any other last questions, concerns, debate from council? Okay. Can you mic up,
Sorry
please?
about that. I just needed clarification. At this point, this money's just going into a pot, and it's going to be designated for the JAC. And that's it. It's going to have its own separate account. So do you have a cap at one point that you can start maybe looking at construction for the seniors? Say you get $1 million in this pot. Then can it be looked at for construction of the JAC maybe?
I think it's, you know, if we're looking at the police station, it's more about the logistics of everything else than it is about the money. Because I think we realize that is the police station a viable option financially? Yes. But now it's how do we figure out who's moving where and when? And I think that based on some recent, I don't know how to put this, just some recent upgrades that are necessary at Fire Station 1, it's kind of spurring us to move that project along, which I think all of these are tied together, so that will help move all of these along.
So do you have a design for a campus for the municipalities? Because at one time we talked about trying to put everything on one campus.
Yeah, I think we have an idea of where things can go.
And so has that design project been looked at?
We have not touched this in a while,
Okay.
I would say. So, but I think this is a good, you know,
Oh, I
good starting
agree
point
with
to kick
getting
it
the
back off.
funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So I was hoping that we were going to get the JAC, you know. I just been voted on vice chair of the executive committee for NCOG on the aging. And so I was looking forward to seeing some things come through, you know, for that, since we were going to start maybe looking at that. So that was the purpose of the question, to see where we were, if there was a campus layout, you know, because there is monies that come through that can be very beneficial for it. So that's it.
Thank you, Councilor Lynn. Anyone else? Very well. Would somebody like to move to approve item 3? We did have a motion and a second? Okay, we have a proper motion and a second to item 3. Let's vote, please.
Short,
Yes.
Bojai,
Yes.
Kalen,
Yes.
Isbell,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Chairbox.
Yes, sir. Item 4 is award a professional design services contract for the Jenks Adult Activity Center design to renovate the existing Jenks Police Department building for the purpose of creating the new Senior Citizen Center to GS Helms and Associates out of Jenks, Oklahoma, in the amount of not to exceed $165,000. Funding for the same to be paid by an existing encumbrance, aforementioned purchase order 195178, City Facilities, Buildings, and Improvements Fund, and reimbursed in the amount of $119,478 from the Tulsa County Urban County Community Development Block Grant Program. Welcome back, Mr. Cloyd. We're on page 108 if you're following along.
Chair and members of the authority, I've already mentioned the fact that in order to be in compliance with this federal CDBG funding requirements, we had to send out for proposals on this project. The requirements are for at least 3 firms. We sent it out to 4 firms in the area. The only firm to respond to the solicitation was GS Helms and Associates. Within the memo, there's a listing of all the different things that are part of the scope. The major phases are there's a preliminary design phase, there's a design development phase, construction documents, bidding and permitting, and then construction administration. The proposed total fee for this work is $165,000 and a proposed schedule of 440 days to complete design deliverables. And that includes all phases, but it is not consecutive. So out of that 440 days, the design might get done and it may sit while we wait for some other things to happen, like other things to be constructed, so the 440 days will not be necessarily consecutive. We may get to a certain place and stop, say 240 of those days are done at the end of design. That leaves us another 200 days that we can put towards bidding when we're ready to bid out the project, and then construction administrative services for that as well. So all of those things that are within the scope are included in that 440 days. The design work, as we've already discussed, funds will be provided with the agreement that was just approved. So $119,478 of that $165,000 will be paid through the CDBG program funds, and the remaining amount, $45,522, will be funded through an existing encumbrance. So there's no new monies that we're asking for to meet this contract. Therefore, staff requests approval to award the professional design services contract for the Jenks Adult Activity Center designed to renovate the existing Jenks Police Department building for the purpose of creating the new Senior Citizen Center to GS Helms and Associates. The consultant is here if you want to ask any detailed questions about the services that he proposes to provide under this contract.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Cloyd. Any questions from Mr. Cloyd from council? While you're here, Mr. Cloyd, what's the approximate square footage of the community room?
2,370 square feet.
Okay. Is it unusual, just simple yes or no, that 3 potential vendors, we didn't get a single response? Is that odd?
It is kind of odd, but it happens.
And I think depending on the project, I mean, we've opened stuff with nobody responding, so.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Cloyd or Mr. Shrout from council? Very well. And the consultant is Mr. Helms, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir.
Do you guys want Mr. Helms to come forward? Well, let's bring you forward anyway. If you have anything additionally you'd like to add, if you don't, that's fine too. Any chance the 440, you can flip that, put a 3 in front of it? I think we got.
Make it 3,440?
You might have an angry mob behind you if you want to do that. It's high
Greg
level.
Helms, 424 East Main Street. I would just like to say thank you for allowing us to work on this project with you. We look forward to it.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Helms? Okay, sorry to drag you up here for that.
That's all right.
I thought
I'm
for
here.
sure you sound- Appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Okay, if there's no questions for Mr. Cloyd, Mr. Shrout, or Mr. Helms, we are on item number 4, and if somebody would like to make a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you very much. We have a proper motion and a second. Item 4, let's vote, please.
Short,
Yes.
OJ,
Yes.
Kalen,
Yes.
Isbell,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Chair Box.
Yes, item 5 is an economic development agreement with Oak Properties LLC for the Ripken Experience Project. We're on page 122, if you're following along. Mr. Shrout.
Mayor, members of council, we've generally talked about using the land that the JPWA owns at 106th and Elm as an incentive for a 10-field all-turf baseball complex with around 200,000 square feet of commercial along Elm Street. A reminder that all of this land is within the, well, not all of it, but the vast majority is in the floodway and is unusable for anything other than some sort of park use. In this economic development agreement, we have a significant amount of protections related to the transfer of the parcel, and we did that anticipating that the developer would rather, at a later date, most likely in the next year or two, end up reimbursing us for the appraised value of the land, and then that would basically eliminate this agreement. But in the short term, while the project is being constructed, we have plenty of protections listed within this agreement, and the buyout clause, I believe, is on page, well, it's item 15, miscellaneous. At any time, developer may obtain an appraisal of the authority parcel and pay the amount of the appraisal. So, I don't know, Teresa, if there's anything else. That's kind of the general, it's similar in a way to what was just approved with the ODOT land, in that, you know, we're acquiring the ODOT land to potentially move economic development forward at 121st and Highway 75. And we already own this land, and we're trying to use this as a tool to incentivize the development of the baseball complex, with the anticipation that the developer would much rather pay the appraised value of the land within the next year or two than be bound by the transfer clauses in this agreement.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Shrout. Any questions from council for our city manager? Everybody had time to look this over? Very well. If there's no questions, then we could entertain a motion on item number 5.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have a proper motion and a second to approve item 5. Let's vote, please.
Short,
Yes.
OJ,
Yes.
Kalen,
Yes.
Isbell,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Chair Box.
Yes, sir. Item 6 is Resolution 2023-03, a resolution declaring certain real property to be surplus to the needs of the authority, approving the transfer of property to Oak Properties LLC, authorizing the city manager to execute contract documents, authorizing chair to execute a deed. Page 136, Mr. Shrout.
Mayor and all members of council, this is a resolution declaring the property surplus. We must do this before we dispose of any property, and we obviously do not have a need for the property at this time, and so we think it's in the best interest of the authority to declare the item surplus so that we can dispose of it.
And this is standard boilerplate administrative paperwork we do in this scenario, right, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the trustees as it relates to the disposal and surplus property? Very well. Thank you. Then we can entertain a motion, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second on item 6, Resolution 2023-03. Let's vote, please.
Short,
Yes.
OJ,
Yes.
Kalen,
Yes.
Isbell,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Chair Box.
Yes. Anything else on your general manager's report, Mr. Shrout?
No, sir.
Very well. Then at this time, we will welcome for our monthly chamber report the president of the Jenks Chamber of Commerce, Mrs. Heather Turner. Good evening, ma'am.
Hello, thank you for having me. So I'll go pretty quickly. Upcoming events, as Chris mentioned, Women in Business Luncheon is this Thursday. Legislative Luncheon is this Friday. You can still register for that. Tulsa Tech is hosting our Small Business Academy, so that's exciting. That's part of our economic development contract, actually, is to have a partnership that's strategic with Tulsa Tech. And now we have two strategic things happening with them. One is Small Business Academy resource for startups and small businesses. We'll do a business leadership series all year long. And so the first one is March 2nd. And then April 4th, we're having a Women in Business Conference. They're hosted at Tulsa Tech as well. We're super excited. Some of the key speakers, you guys are some of the first to hear. We haven't announced this publicly yet, but I guess this is public record, so here we go. But Leanne Taylor from Channel 6. If you've ever been to J.D. Spencer, she's got a bunch of locations out with jewelry and gifts. We had a jewelry pull from her at the banquet. The owner is speaking also at the Women in Business Conference. And then Dr. Brenda Joy, and she is actually an international speaker, and she's a professor for human relations at OU. So those are three of the speakers. We also have an inventor, entrepreneur, Dee Hayes, and she has the business that's known as Heels First. So anyway, really great, innovative speakers that will be at our first, and then we have several physicians that are speaking on mental wellness and work-life balance in a panel setting there as well. So great speakers, that's coming up. And then progress is promised. So hats off to you all and to Tanner, because the plumbing is fixed. Woot woot. The roof is fixed. Woot woot. And now, just yesterday, they did the first panel to fix the ceiling. Can we put our hands together for that? We're so excited. And so that is scheduled, the chamber, the hive where we're all housed and we have all of these events. It's actually between February 27th and March 7th. They'll be fixing the ceiling. So that's very...
But not on February 27th.
But not on February 27th, because we have the city open house and they know about it. So we're excited for that and thrilled for that progress. We have a meeting this coming Wednesday, so I guess tomorrow, with Muskogee Nation about doing the wall art. They've already sent me some things. I like some of it, don't like some of it, so we're going to work on it tomorrow. And they're looking actually at doing a wall clean instead of a painting, because it's a little less expensive, and they're graphic designers that they have at the Muskogee Nation Tourism. They can design it, change it until we like it. It can stick to the wall, and then should we ever need to take it off, we can. So that's something that's exciting coming up. And then, let's see. The business case, I talked to you guys about that last time. We have that document ready and available upon request, and that's pretty exciting. That has our income stats, school stats, industry leakage rates and needs, and consumer spending habits. So if that's something you're interested in, I can give that to you. I met with TCC last week, and this is kind of fun. The Southeast campus has 8,000 students, and did you know that we have a partnership with them, and they can do job advertising? So all of these new developments that we have, they can actually list the jobs. Say that they're restaurants and they want a bunch of waiters or waitresses, or they want entry-level positions and then some supervisor training. We'll actually work with them for that workforce development, another part of our ED contract, and a strategic partnership with our higher education institutions. So they can actually post that out. You can do in-person interviews and career fairs right there. These developers can actually set up in TCC and have those positions posted and available for all their students. We meet with TU next week. So we've actually met with, I think, all of the higher ed institutions except for TU at this point. So that's kind of a fun update. A new collaboration, which Marseille and Katie and I got together with Lane, and there's a new process for promoting development projects. And so one of the things that we want to do is to set everybody on this council and myself and everybody that's in communication up with the right information, accurate information, and timely information when we're promoting and sharing development information. And so we had our first collaborative event. You guys were all there last Thursday. I was not. I was in Turks and Caicos on the beach. But that was a collaborative effort. And before that, the day before on Wednesday, I was here and we had our first economic development impact interview. And we did that with Chip, and that's something that will continue on forward. So Lane and I came up with a series of questions that we asked the developer. And that way we're not sharing an information that they don't want shared, and we are promoting and sharing information that the developer is comfortable with or the business owner is comfortable with. So for example, they did not want to talk about exact number of jobs that they were going to be providing because they don't know that yet until they have the retailer's commitments. And so those are things that we were like, cool, we won't share things that aren't true yet. We won't make things up out of the air, but we'll regard you. And I think that over time doing that will build credibility with our council, with our city, and the ease of process. So thank you to Marseille and Katie on that. A fun little note, I'm meeting with Josh Webman this Thursday because they are creating, he and some other professionals are creating a professional cannabis association. And their mission is to convene professional growers and come up with business ideas. And so I'm just really coming to listen and learn what their plans and mission are and see what kind of impact that's going to have on our economy. And then community collaboration, of course, I just referenced it. Many of you attended. We're continuing to collaborate with our local merchants. And of course, now the 10 district branding downtown. And the first collaborative effort was that event last week. And I think they said 50 to 60 people attended. And that it went well. Another fun update, I met with Jenks Public Schools, the high school, Eric Fox, that assistant principal, and Kim Catterson, and we are planning a community internship career fair where we connect, because they have an internship program and they're already utilizing that, giving internships to their high school juniors and seniors. And so we'll help them do that by connecting them with businesses that are part of the chamber or not. And those businesses can come meet interns and choose the fall or spring semester. That's building work pipeline, just goes right into the higher ed and the workforce development initiatives. So that's coming up in June. And then we're also working with Jenks High School in their arts department. When we are doing the commons area hasn't been super used, and we're using that for Food Truck Thursdays coming up. And they would like to collaborate to do fine arts and food trucks. And so using the high school jazz bands and different band programs, choral and music theater programs to showcase those students, which of course will bring all of those families to the Jenks Commons. And of course we'll feed the food trucks, and the food trucks feed everybody else. So that's kind of how that works. So those are some fun collaborations that we have happening. The Jenks, Discover Jenks Sweetheart Edition is fixing to be published, so it'll be out within the next couple of weeks and in your hands. Great recruitment tool, and you guys were talking about the carousel earlier. The carousel is on the front page of Discover Jenks magazine, and it looks really great. So we're excited about that. And let's see. The Food Truck Fest is coming up, as is the Urban Garden Fest, so that sign will be going across Main Street probably in the next about 3 weeks once we get that ordered. And then Riverwalk has a spring fling event. If you didn't have it on your calendars, it's on the community calendar for March 17th and 18th. I think that's all I've got. Did I go fast enough for you, Robert? Hey, it's all on one page. I tried to, well, there's extra, but.
Thank you, Mrs. Turner. Any comments, questions for Heather?
All right, thank you so much.
Appreciate you. Any closing remarks from council before we call it? Councilor Lynn?
Yes, thank you. I neglected to mention that Monday is Senior Day at the Capitol. And so those of us from NCOG will be going up and meeting with legislators in regard to some legislation that's going to be passed. And so we have gone over the bills and things that we're hoping for our area and for our Tri-County. Bill, if you or Gary can think of anything that I can take to the Capitol, send me an email, And, because we're going to be actually sitting on the floor with the representatives, basically kind of like when you went up for Mayor's Congress. And so we'll be meeting with my big thing that I really would like is to get the taxes and to get hearing aids made as a medical device and get rid of the taxes, because they're so expensive. That would be a huge benefit to the seniors, because you don't have to pay taxes on medical devices, but they're not considered medical devices. So that's kind of what I have for personal reasons, knowing how much taxes that the seniors have to pay. So just to share my goal with you all. So if you all can think of something that I can bring forth to the legislators, I'd be more than happy to take it to the Capitol on Monday.
Great. Thank you, Counselor Lynn. Last call. Very well. If there's nothing else, it's 6:55 and we are adjourned.